On this week's Person of Interest, we focus on the man at the helm of Murang'a County in terms of senatorial and oversight leadership. The man is Irungu Kang'ata. He started out as a councillor in 2002, a journey that took him to represent the people of Kiharu constituency as their Member of Parliament in 2013. And currently, the position he serves as Senator of Murang'a County, a position he rose to in 2017 general election. It's been interesting, especially the latest developments surrounding that particular position in the Senate. So we'll focus on what his journey has been and exactly which way he's going, considering he's quite a young fella. The political career must be just starting. So without further ado, let me welcome Irungu Kang'ata. Many thanks for your time and thank you for having us right here.
Thank you.
Okay, so it would be interesting to start with your journey back then. You've been quite vocal in terms of mentioning you were brought up with mechanics. Kindly give us a picture of the homestead you were actually brought up in.
Yes, I was born in a place called Murang'a Town about 40 years ago at an estate called Grogan Estate. And my parents were mechanic, both my mother and my dad. Though my mother was more of a metal fabricator.
Okay.
Yes, and we were 8 children, 6 boys and 2 girls, but 2 boys passed on.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay. So that must have been interesting. Your love for education, was it nurtured at a very young age?
Let me say that my parents were not educated.
Okay.
And therefore my love for education was self-propelling. Otherwise, no one would ask you whether you have done your homework at home. Because my parents were modestly educated, but just by coincidence, I just loved books. We were only 2 who were very bright academically in my family, but one died when he was in 2nd year at the University of Kenyatta University. Then I decided to put more effort to match him.
Okay.
So I passed very well in primary school. Then
where did you go to primary?
It was called Murang'a Township Primary School.
Yeah.
These days it's called Viduramji.
Okay.
It's a public school right in the middle of Murang'a Town. Yes.
And then proceeded to secondary? Still in Murang'a Town?
No, I went to Thika High School.
Thika High School,
and I was among the top performers. I got an A-.
Wow.
I was admitted to join University of Nairobi to do Bachelor's of Law.
Okay.
Yes.
And I think that's when the political culture was truly invested. You assumed political position in terms of campus leadership at that particular point, did you?
Yes, one can argue that way, although my love for matters current affairs stems way back when I was in primary school.
Okay.
We were being represented by the then Member of Parliament of Kiharu, Kenneth Stanley Jindo Matiba. And then he was very politically active. That was the time when he resigned as a Member of Parliament around 1988. Then he started agitation for multi-party democracy in the 1990, together with another Murang'a son called Charles Rubia. Then they were detained. Then we had what we call Sabasaba riots. So all that time I was very interested in matters, the public and politics.
Okay.
I was an avid newspaper reader, notwithstanding my tender age. And I was really inspired by Matiba's struggle for multi-party democracy in 1990.
So you carried that onto campus. There's a point you've vocally mentioned that you did get suspended briefly for engaging in campus politics. Tell us about that.
Yes, as a first year I was elected to become the vice chairman of student organization of Nairobi University. That's SONU. And then we started agitating for equal treatment for students at the university, those who are Module 1, those who had been admitted through government sponsorship and they had passed well in high school, and those who are in Module 2, self-sponsored students. We argued that self-sponsored students were getting favorable condition compared to regular students, notwithstanding the fact that regular students tended to come from poor backgrounds but were performing better in high school grades. For instance, we complained about there were some courses that were not open for regular students, like actuarial science. Also, parallel students were undertaking their courses with 2.5 years, whereas those of us in regular were doing 4 years.
4 years, yeah.
We had to wait for 2 years before joining university, as compared to module 2,
Self-sponsored,
who were joined immediately upon completion of high school. So I spoke the truth.
You took to the streets?
Yeah, I spoke the truth.
As you actually said you still do right now. So how did that go on?
Upon speaking the truth, then I was suspended. But whereas I was suspended for 2 years, it became an indefinite suspension after I went to court challenging that suspension. And the university argued that time does not run once there's a court case, which is not true, but that's how they construed the law.
Yes.
So I stayed home without any dream of coming back to the university until I decided to vie to become an MCA or a councillor then.
Yeah.
At the tender age of 22, God willing, I was elected.
Well, that's good news. Before we get to the MCA and the councillor position, your love for reggae, there's a point you were a DJ. Tell me about this.
Initially, I was washing cars. I was a car wash
This is
attendant.
after you were suspended from campus?
No, immediately I left high school. You know, during our days, we used to stay 2 years before joining university. So those 2 years, I used to wash vehicles at a car wash called Kayole. So then thereafter, after joining university and after suspension, then I decided to become a DJ. Yeah.
What was your stage name?
Nyoto.
DJ Nyoto.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. So reggae, your love for music of conscience. Tell me about it. Do you still listen to reggae?
Yeah, I do, of course. There's no doubt about it. Together with gospel.
Gospel as well. Yeah.
I prefer music with a message.
Yeah.
I think the two genres have some message. Yeah.
Who stands out in terms of being an artist, the message that he passes?
Bob, Peter Tosh,
Yeah.
Lucky Dube, Burning Spear, such.
Okay. Well, what's your favorite song?
There's a song by Peter Tosh that talks about Africa and the conditions of Africans. It says, I will not give up until Africa and Africans are free.
Okay, and we've had you talk about Africans. We'll definitely get there. So your journey in terms of political leadership, a councillor in 2002, was it out of your own self-interest, or you were actually driven by the people you were representing? Did your DJing have anything to do with your popularity at that time?
It did, by the way, in a way.
Yeah.
It was like, how do I say, an organic evolution of my candidature. I can't say it was really planned. So after I became fairly popular amongst the young people, then the elections were beckoning.
Yeah.
Then I decided to vie.
Okay.
My dad was not happy with that move, but my mother was very pragmatic. She argued, no, you vie. You never know.
And she supported you?
Yeah, so I decided to vie.
How was it campaigning? You're 22. A lot has happened till that point. You've decided to put a foot into politics. I'm sure finances might have been an issue while campaigning as well. How was it selling your agenda to the people for the very first time?
There's no doubt that God played a major role, and I'm very religious and a strong believer in Christianity, because surely I didn't have money. My parents couldn't afford the kind of money that was being flashed out by my competitors. But as hustlers say, we must believe in the God the Father, not the Godfather.
Yes.
Yeah.
And your path was decided for you even before.
Yeah.
That's what they mentioned in the Bible. So MCA or councillor at that particular point, fast forward to 2013. I mean, what was the motivation to step up your political career and actually go for Member of Parliament?
Remember, I had just argued the case of Kerubo. Remember that case of Nancy Baraza?
Yes, you represented.
I represented Rebecca Kerubo against Nancy Baraza. So after we won that case, when I went home, people told me, yeah, you have done a good job. Why can't you try for this position?
Yes.
Yeah, you have represented the poor. Yeah, we want you to now stand up for the mighty. If you can fight for the poor guard against such a mighty person, then we think you can also represent us well in Parliament.
Okay.
That's it.
Well, that's proper. So your law career has been quite instrumental in the man you are today. Tell us a little bit more about it. You suspended, we haven't had. When did you go back to complete your law degree and the likes?
Upon winning in the year 2003,
yes,
coincidentally, KANU was defeated. The new government of Moi Kibaki came in and gave an amnesty for all suspended students. So we got back to the university. I recall even people like Omar Hassan were reinstated back to the university.
Okay.
Yes.
The vibrancy of student politics compared to back then is not the same, I must say. Well, what would you mention is a major hindrance, perhaps, because Solu was quite vibrant back in the day. How would you compare campus politics now and then?
I would imagine, because during our time, we were under the repressive Moi regime. Students were more courageous, and whenever they took a position, it was echoed more in the society by virtue that the political democratic space was very restricted. So you wouldn't have politicians fighting against the government. So we were among the very few voices challenging the government of the day. And therefore we tend to be more vibrant or more people-centered.
Yes.
But the current crops, well, I respect it, but I haven't seen that vibrancy.
And many critics actually argue that we are more into Twitter politics than actually going to the ground and pushing agendas. Tell us about your relationship with the people of Kiharu constituency at first, representing them in 2013. How was it?
I think we did a good job. Let me also mention my friend Dede Nyoro. He was the chairman of Kiharu CDF. I would imagine the work that we did in Kiharu is the work that then validated his candidature. When he decided to vie as a member of parliament for Kiharu, he was supported almost 100%, meaning they were validating the good work that we did. Otherwise, often when chairmen of CDF vie, they tend to lose.
Quite so.
So for me, the very fact my brother Dede Nyoro won, it validated our work that we did in Kiharu.
And also knowing the people of Kiharu are quite, they're quite vibrant in terms of who they vote. It's all about issue-based, what work you did. It's not necessarily you come with a particular party and it's easy go,
Yes, indeed, even when I vied as a senator, the constituency that gave me the largest political bloc was Kiharu constituency. So I'm happy for the good work that we did in Kiharu constituency, particularly areas of tarmac. Before my tenure as an MP, Kiharu had not been tarmacked a single inch. And before that, the last tarmac that was done in Kiharu was done about in 1975. But when I became an MP for that region, we did about 120 kilometers of new tarmac. Places like Mogoiri Wateri, they had tarmac. Places like Gakonya in Gaturi Ward, Kegetuini, it had tarmac. Places like Location 20, I was able to push the government, they got new tarmac. Also water projects. We were able to connect about 10,000 homesteads with clean water. That is places like Upper Mbiri, Lower Mbiri. We also maneuvered to have boreholes done in Gaturi Ward. So I was happy with my record.
And I'm
places
sure the people
like Deri in Murarandia, we were able to give them water. So for me, that work propelled us. Even when I decided to vie to become a senator, that work really propelled us.
Let me stick with being member of parliament. There's current debacle in terms of the NGCDF funds, which haven't been released in totality, this being the third quarter of this particular financial year. And I'm sure the CDF funds are quite instrumental in all the work you do. What would you say about what we are seeing right now in terms of the funds being released?
Definitely, I would urge the national government to hasten the release of those funds. They do a lot of work in terms of development at the grassroots level.
Okay.
Were it not that I was managing CDF, definitely I would not have been propelled to the next political stage in Murang'a County.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, that's really proper. 2017 now, the time has come that you decide to vie for the senatorial position. Was it the people who actually encouraged you to go for this? How did this play out?
Yes, indeed. Other constituencies
Yes.
had the good work that I had done as an area member of parliament for Kiharu. So I was approached by farmers, by market women, by Buddha youths. I was also approached by church leaders. I was also approached by teachers from other constituencies. They told me, okay, we have heard the good work that you have done in Kiharu.
Why not?
Why not also serve us? But I told them, no, you need to understand a senator doesn't have resources.
Yeah,
it does not manage resources.
It's oversight.
So I'm not so sure whether I can replicate that work in this other constituency. But they told me, no, you just get into this position. We know you can lobby the government to do also a similar good work in our region, because also development has an element of lobbying. So I'm happy to report that even after I became a senator, I've done my part towards lobbying the government on matters, water projects in Murang'a County, tarmacking more roads in our county, and also most importantly doing medical camps. We have done almost 120 medical camps.
Are they still ongoing?
Yeah, they're still ongoing,
Yeah.
and definitely very soon I'll be doing 2 others. And so thousands of poor patients have benefited. So yes, it is true a senator doesn't have resources, but I think one can be a little bit innovative
And proactive. Yeah.
and provide some developmental interventions on behalf of the people.
Okay, that's really proper. One other thing that also stood out at that particular time frame, you happened to exchange vows. This being a weekend for Valentine's and all that, I'm pretty sure that was interesting. But one of the chief guests was President Uhuru Kang'ata. How would you say your relationship with President Uhuru Kang'ata is?
It is very positive, and I'm very happy with President Uhuru Kang'ata. First, at a very personal level, he came to my wedding. It's a very important occasion.
True.
And my children will always remember that occasion. And secondly, I have gone to him. I've requested him to do certain developmental interventions for the people of Murang'a County, and he has acceded to those requests. So definitely, he remains my friend, and I respect him a lot. And most importantly also, he appointed me to become the Deputy Chief Whip of Jubilee Party. Later on, he promoted me to become the Chief Whip of Jubilee Party. So I respect that, and I will forever be grateful to His Excellency President Uhuru Kang'ata.
Okay. You brought in the debacle of the Chief Whip, and let's get this over with. Do you regret in any way how you addressed the particular issues? Yes, perhaps there were sentiments from the ground, but many have actually pointed fingers at how you brought these issues forward.
With all due respect, of course, I regret the leakage of the letter. It is not me. Either it was leaked by Majority Leader Pogisho because he had a copy, or Raphael Tuju. By the way, that letter did not go directly to the president. It was going through Mr.
Various
Tuju.
leaders, okay.
So either him or Pogisho, who got that letter before.
Well, they're definitely not here to defend themselves, but this is all speculation.
But the point I'm trying to say is that I didn't leak that letter. I didn't leak that letter. So I regret its leakage. But I do not regret the content. I strongly believe what I wrote, first and foremost, is an expression of my thoughts. And this is a country that believes in democracy. We need to respect thoughts. I did not abuse anyone in the letter. Whereas I pointed out problems, I also proposed solutions.
Yeah.
Which solutions, by the way, I'm seeing an element of
Some of them, yes.
being implemented.
Yeah, and also credit to you. You posted some solutions on COVID-19 on your Facebook. I actually saw that, and some of the recommendations were.
Yeah. So me, I don't just critique for the purposes of just critiquing. You point out and you offer solutions. So, for instance, I said we need to do something on coffee, economics of our people in Mount Kenya region. Immediately thereafter, I have seen government publishing a coffee bill,
yes,
which is an attempt to address the problems of coffee. That is development. That is positive. I told the president he needs to be a little bit more proactive politically.
Yes,
I've seen him doing that. So for me, I can't really regret. In fact, the leakage of the letter had a negative, I agree, but also there is a positive.
A positive
in the
angle
sense
to it.
that we have seen leaders who are hypocritical being disclosed, people who are burying their hands in the sand being uncovered. For me, that is positive and progressive.
When the party Secretary General, Raphael Tuju, mentioned that one shouldn't kiss and tell, especially when you're in a position of leadership, how would you respond to that? Especially since perhaps the contents of that particular meeting were not meant to be divulged to members of the public through the press. How do you respond to that?
I didn't disclose any proceedings of any meeting to the media at all. Remember, that was the time I was evading media. In fact, I think this is my first interview on that subject. I've been generally avoiding media. So I didn't discuss anyone concerning that letter at all.
Okay.
So what he said is not true. In fact, the deputy majority leader is the one who disclosed to the press that there was a meeting at a certain hotel. It is them who disclosed, not me. So I disagree. I didn't even understand what he meant.
Okay.
As to the leakage of the letter, again, I'm saying it's not me who leaked that letter.
Well, that's interesting. But bearing in mind, you've mentioned there are positive outcomes out of that particular letter. But let's backtrack. KICC, you were quite adamant. A couple of senators also walked out of that particular PG meeting, you being one of them. And you're quite instrumental, mentioning how even Daniel was put in the lion's den and he did overcome. Let's talk about that particular meeting. Why would you walk out?
It ended.
It ended?
Yeah.
Oh, it had ended?
Yeah, it ended.
Yes.
Yeah.
You didn't walk out before it had concluded?
No, it ended.
All right.
Yes.
And do you think the quorum was there? A lot of questions have been raised on that. You were there?
Definitely, one can poke holes on that meeting in terms of I was not notified of the agenda of the meeting, neither were my colleagues. It is one cardinal principle of natural justice,
yes,
that you cannot condemn a person unheard, and you need to give a person a reasonable notice so that he prepares his defense. So that didn't happen. Also, the people who purportedly signed my ouster were about 16, and Jubilee Party parliamentary group in the Senate is about 38. So you needed to have about 20 or 90 to endorse my ouster. So clearly, they didn't have numbers to oust me. And also, most importantly, during that meeting, no one criticized me at all. Every single senator who stood, they all supported my leadership.
All right.
But I cannot really go to court. I'm not really interested in fighting anyone. Yeah?
Yeah.
You see, I cannot try now to appear as if I'm in a contest with the president or the party. Okay, fine. You know, we say, mwenye nguvu mpishe. Yeah. So, for me, once the signal was out there, that they have a problem with me. I told them I can't resign. By the way, remember, they even pressured me to resign.
To resign, to step
I told
down.
them, no, I can't. Yeah, why? I've done nothing wrong.
Okay.
Let them have the moral burden to prove to Kenyans I did something wrong. But me, my conscience is clean. They have prosecuted an innocent man, and they have a political blood in their hands.
Well, that's interesting. Going back, would you have done anything differently in terms of addressing the president? Because surely in such a position, I am sure you'd have approached it differently. You've also mentioned President Irungu Kang'ata is a close friend. Going back, would you do it differently?
No. Remember, even there are persons who do open letters to the president.
Yes.
So even the fact that the letter leaked out, as long as the letter did not have any negative
and malicious intent.
Yeah, or malicious intent, I don't see any problem even with penning an open letter to His Excellency President Uhuru.
Okay.
Yeah.
How would you describe your brand of politics, Senator?
You tell me.
No, I'm asking you. You're the politician here.
No, I can't really. I don't like speaking on behalf of myself.
Yeah.
But I can only say I do my best and I leave the rest to God.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, that's interesting. Let's talk about the wrangles within Jubilee Party. It's the ruling party in the country, and definitely the leaders seem to be pointing at different directions. How would you feel? How do you feel as a member of Jubilee Party right now?
I would have preferred a situation where we unify Kenyans as opposed to dividing Kenyans. I would prefer a situation where we have one unified Jubilee as opposed to Jubilee with factions. I believe in the original dream of Jubilee Party. I believe in President Uhuru Kenyatta. I believe in Deputy President William Ruto. And for me, they are my good friends. So telling me to choose between Uhuru and Ruto is like asking me to choose between my mom and my dad.
Yeah.
They are good people. So therefore, I would want a unified and coherent Jubilee.
So I think that's your brand of politics in extension. But anyway, be that as it may, just recently we've seen President Uhuru Kenyatta actually castigate his deputy openly, mentioning that from one side you're actually hailing the Jubilee government, we've done these projects, yet on the other side you're criticizing those who are working within the government. You've mentioned, yes, the ideal situation would be if they're working together, but that's not the case. Be that as it may, what do you make of such utterances and the difference, the sharp divide between President Uhuru Kenyatta and Deputy President William Ruto that seems to be playing out openly right now?
I will not be drawn into discussing His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta for several reasons. Number one, he's not a strategic competitor of William Ruto in 2022. He will not be on the ballot in 2022. So, for me, I respect him. I will not criticize him at all, irrespective of whatever effort he does against my candidate. At all, he will continue being our party leader in Jubilee Party.
Yes.
And therefore, please take this to the bank. I will never utter a single negative word against His Excellency President Ruto.
So in extension, do you support what he mentions that perhaps Ruto should resign or?
Definitely, they were elected on one joint ticket, and therefore William Ruto, in my view, he needs to be in that position until 2022.
Until the completion of his term.
I can don't draw me into a discussion of criticizing His Excellency President.
Well, we definitely won't criticize. Let's take a break right now on that particular note. You're watching Person of Interest. We're still seated with Senator Irungu Kang'ata. We'll be back shedding more light into the role of oversight in public expenditure within Murang'a County. Stay with us.